Hello, hello. Welcome to the Nonprofit Plug. I can't believe it's about to be October. This is the final part of our September series for the Nonprofit Plug on preparing to start your nonprofit. I'm going to wait a couple of seconds for people to tap in, and I am looking forward to this finale of the September series. I hope all has been well with you and your nonprofit organization. Running a nonprofit is serious. It is like running a business, and there are things you should know that I am happy to provide to you through a variety of ways. One of them being my seminars that I have on a monthly basis, also through startup coaching, and I am so excited about that because I'll be starting that next month. And that is going to look like 2 or 4 sessions a month where you're going to be able to talk to me. We're going to walk through things you want to discuss. If you already have a nonprofit, we'll talk about what your fundraising looks like for the next 3 months. It also looks like how you're going to set up a structure for your nonprofit. How are you going to set up goals and plans? How are you going to work with your board to establish those goals? So I am looking forward to that. You can sign up for 2 or 4 sessions. And the way to sign up for those is to send me a DM or send me a message to contact@kiaharris.com. I will send you the link in advance. I was going to open that up on October 1st, but I think it's going to be great if I can just open it up now. So you can go to kiaharris.com. Stay connected on my email list. That's another way to stay connected. But those sessions are going to be monumental when it comes to forming your nonprofit, when it comes to developing it, when it comes to making sure that your nonprofit is staying as it should be and doing the work that it's supposed to be doing. Running a nonprofit is a lot of work. I'm a founder of a nonprofit. We have been in existence for 5 years, and I'm constantly learning, constantly applying what I've learned through my studies, through the graduate program I went through. And so essentially, I want to be able to pour into others what I've learned, basically teach people what I've learned from the program, and then also provide some transparency about running a nonprofit. Often, the information on the web, information on these nonprofits is very surface level. And what I mean by that is that they are transferable to nonprofits who make, for example, 200,000 or more each year. But when it comes to the nonprofit in the startup stage, a small nonprofit, some of those things don't apply. And so what I want to do is I want to be able to educate and have that accountability part in it so that you are aware of the reality of running a nonprofit. I can provide insight as a founder, as also as a nonprofit consultant, in how to go about doing it. So we're in our final series, a final part of this series, the September series on preparing to start your nonprofit. We're talking about making it official. So we went through all of this information about creating your board, what people should be on your team, how much is the cost looking like, how to decide on what your organization is going to be doing, mission and vision statement. So we went through a great amount of information, but now it's time to make it official. Now is the time to get off the fence, stop making excuses about running or starting a nonprofit. It's time to actually do it. I always keep on saying that when you choose not to answer the call to start a nonprofit, when you choose not to start the nonprofit, these people that you're going to be serving, the people that are in these communities that you're going to be serving, these individuals even, will not be receiving the services and programs because you're not deciding to start the nonprofit. Do not leave them abandoned because you choose not to do what you've been called to do when it comes to serving people. There's a lot of things you can do to serve people, but one of them is being a nonprofit, and I have found it to be extremely fulfilling, although challenging, but at the end of the day, always fulfilling for me. So if you've been on the fence, it's time to get off the fence. If you are looking for more information about nonprofits, you just want to know about certain things, I always have seminars that are available to you. I'm starting nonprofit startup coaching next month. 2 sessions or 4 sessions, which will be for 1 hour at a time, basically helping you with structuring your nonprofit in the startup phase, helping you with getting that startup funding, helping you with deciding on a structure for your organization. What is going to be your pilot program? How and who are you going to ask for that initial funding? What is going to be the focus of your work? How many board members you're going to have? What are the bylaws going to look like? So I'm going to assist you with those aspects in a one-on-one conversation, a one-on-one session where I can talk to you about what it means to start a nonprofit, help you in that initial stage. Even if you haven't started a nonprofit, I'm helping individuals who are going to be future nonprofit founders, but I'm also helping individuals who are currently founders, currently nonprofit leaders, to help in that process. Sometimes you just need an accountability partner. You just need someone to help you in the process. And so I am excited for you all to be here. So I was just saying that those nonprofit startup coaching is starting next month. You can sign up in advance. There's only 5 spots, and I'm not saying that because it's a marketing gimmick. I'm saying that because that's my capacity at this time. So if you do decide to do that, I'm looking forward to it. There is the possibility of having 2 or 4 sessions a month. Making your organization official is important because if you are collecting funding, then you have to make sure that, or you would want to make sure that it's tax deductible. You have to realize that if you do collect funding from someone and you are not tax exempt, that funding is not tax deductible, which may deter people from giving to your organization because they are looking for that tax write-off, especially in December. I've said before, December is one of the highest giving months of the year. And if your organization is not tax exempt, then that means that you're leaving money on the table, because people give in December because they're looking for ways to get an additional tax write-off. So if they find your organization, they say, hey, I love the work that you're doing, I want to make a donation. You tell them, well, actually, I don't have our tax exempt status. That may deter them from actually donating. So you want to give that ability to them. You want them to be able to donate to your organization. You don't want to leave that money on the table because it takes money to run an organization, and you can't just keep on funding the organization on your own. I've talked about this in the first part of the series. I used to start the funding. I used all my funding. I used money from my part-time job to fund the organization, to start with the cost of filing for it with the state and IRS. And that was something that was a burden. It wasn't a burden because I didn't want to do it, but it was a financial hold that I had because I was putting that money into the organization. Yes, it was for a purpose. Yes, it was going towards our work. But it is so much beneficial if you just have a donor base from your family, your friends, your network that are willing to give to your organization. And once again, it's tax deductible. So starting a nonprofit is something that is needed. There are a variety of people who need your services, who need your programs. But if you decide not to start it, then it's not going to be provided. So these people are essentially going to be abandoned because you've chosen not to do what you've been called to do. So I am just here to prompt you to start the nonprofit. Don't think that the nonprofit sector is saturated. It is not saturated. There are more than enough people to fund your organization. There's more than enough people that need the services, and you're capable. One of my seminars I provide is actually walking through the step of starting a nonprofit in California. That's my specialty as far as California. And so don't think that it's going to be overwhelming, that you're not capable of doing it, because you are capable of doing it. Everyone is capable of doing it. Starting a nonprofit is like starting a business. It's just your focus is different. Your focus is on serving people, providing services and programs, versus a for-profit. Their purpose is to bring in revenue, and it's also to meet a certain quota. So your focus, if your focus has been to serve others, then you may want to consider starting a nonprofit. I'm going to be having a free seminar tomorrow. This is free, and it is to solidify a few things. So everything we talked about in this series, this is going to go into more detail about it. We've talked about your board members, who's going to be on your team. We've talked about startup costs and estimate of that. So this free seminar that is taking place tomorrow evening at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time is going to go into the details about starting and running a nonprofit. As a nonprofit founder, I can provide insight about what it means to start a nonprofit, how the process is, what things you need to consider. We're also going to go through a series of questions about why you need to start a nonprofit, how do you build your team, how you decide on the services you're going to do, how you decide on what funding you're going to get. So that is tomorrow, September 30th at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. That's free. You can click the link on my Instagram bio and you can find the link to register there. Just asking for some brief information and you will get that Zoom link. So I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow if that is what you like to do. Otherwise, the seminars for October are going to be there. If you're a nonprofit startup, or if you are a future nonprofit leader, all of my seminars are going to be beneficial for you. I have a teaching style of educating the person so that you are able to go back and teach your team. And I also have that accountability in place. If you tell me you're going to do something, I'm going to follow up with you about that, because it's important that you have someone who's accountable, especially if you don't have a team just yet. So I'm looking forward to that. Once again, those coaching sessions for nonprofit startups is going to be available next month. If you want to sign up in advance, because there's only 5 spots, you can email me, contact@kiaharris.com, and you can sign up. You can have 2 or 4 sessions a month, where we're going to have 1-hour conversations talking about your nonprofit, talking about what you need to do to scale your nonprofit, talking about how you're going to get that funding in. One of the myths about starting a nonprofit is, oh, there's no funding. Yes, there is. You have a network. If you have a network, that means you have the funding. Hello, Swiss Education. Good to see you. If you have a network, that means there's funding there, which means that you need to tap into that. Don't leave funding on the table because you don't want to reach out or you're not being consistent. You have to be consistent when it comes to starting your nonprofit. You have to be putting the information out there. If you're not putting the information out there, how are they going to know about it? If you decide, oh, well, I don't want to go live today, or I don't want to post anything on social media, oops, I forgot to send that email out, then you are leaving that on the table. So get with a system. As one of my recommendations is to put a system in place so that you're able to have these things going out on a regular basis. Scheduling is an absolutely most beneficial thing that you can do, especially if you're a founder. Often nonprofit founders are doing things on their own. I wear at least 5 hats a week. I'm a marketer. I am the social media manager. I am the communications manager. I am the ED. I am a community organizer. I work with Haiti, and my husband is the advisory board member and he connects with the communities there, and then I have to decide on things and put policies in place. So as a nonprofit founder, you're going to wear a lot of hats, and so scheduling is one of those ways that you can make things better for you, easier for you as a nonprofit founder. So kiaharris.com events page, all my seminars are there. If you're interested in nonprofit startup coaching, you can send me email, send me a DM. There are 2 or 4 sessions available per month. You'll want to connect with me for that, because there's things that I can help you with as a nonprofit founder in the initial stages. Often the stuff that is out there for nonprofits is very high level stuff. So it's like for organizations that are $200,000 or more, or $50,000 or more. Let's start from zero. Let's start from zero and grow your donor base. One thing that happens when we do a fundraiser every few months is the fact that our donor base grows at least by 6 people each time, which means every time we do a fundraiser, it's growing. Every time we do a fundraiser, it's growing. Our donor base is growing. That means we have more donors, more people who can potentially give, which means that our organization is growing and we're able to do more with our programs and our services. So stay connected with me. kiaharris.com. I look forward to speaking with you. If you have any questions, I'm going to leave it open at this time for you to type in your questions. Go ahead and type them in. I'm going to only be on here for a couple of more seconds, but since this is live, I want to give you the ability to ask some questions. So go for it. Go ahead and type those in. The information for the October series is going to be released within the next few days. I'm going to be releasing what we're going to be talking about for our October series, and then you can jump in on that. That is going to be focused on you as a nonprofit founder. Do you support with grant writing? I teach you how to write grants. But I am not a grant writer, do not want to be a grant writer. Writing grants is a process. So speaking from my experience, our organization is going to be seeking a grant writer because, like I said, when you run a nonprofit, there's so much you're doing that you want to be able to allocate someone else to do something. So we're going to be hiring a grant writer in the future, but yes, I teach on grant writing. I can guide you through how to write a grant, but I'm not going to write a grant. I just personally don't want to specialize in that. But I can steer you to someone, to a few people I'm connected with who do grant writing. How do you find a donator? How do you find a donor? I think that was what you're wanting to ask. Use your network. My donor base is full of all my network. Yes, it has some family members in there. My mother is a monthly donor. My sister is a monthly donor. And then it also includes people that I have encountered in my professional network, like on LinkedIn. I think there's a few from there. And then also the network of my board members, of my advisory board members, their network has become my donor base as well. So consider your network, consider your board's network as well. Don't take all fundraising on your shoulders. Your board should be involved. So I always stress this. Keep your board involved with fundraising from the start and continue with that. Make sure they're aware that they're obligated to either bring in funding or to give funding to your organization, to donate directly. Because if you're not involving them in the fundraising process, it's just going to be you. And that's not how it should be. You need funding to run your organization. So how are you going to do it if you're just the only fundraiser? So just involve your board. Any more questions? Feel free to type them in. I'll be here for a couple more seconds. Another thing I want to say about grants is that a lot of organizations who are starting out, they think that they need grants immediately. The reality is that these foundations, whether private or community or family foundations, is that they require a lot from you. They require you oftentimes to be in existence for a certain amount of years. They require you to have systems in place as far as your outcomes. They want to see what you've been doing and the numbers to match it. So if you're looking for a grant, your first year in your nonprofit, and you are just getting started with things, that means you don't have systems in place. You may not have the numbers yet. So why would you want to apply for a grant if you're not exactly ready? Not to say that you can't apply for grants as an early stage nonprofit. What I'm saying is that they have requirements as far as your years of existence. They want you to have systems in place. They want your outcomes. They want you to have essentially a plan as to how you're going to use this funding. They want to see the people you're serving. They want to see data and information about that. So consider that. Grants are the only way to get funding for a nonprofit. You can use your network as I've been using. We have not acquired any grants just yet. Yes, we're going to get grants in the future, and maybe there's a corporation that's going to reach out. I'm speaking that into existence. But your individual donations, whether it's from your family, friends, your professional network, those individual donations can help you build up the support you need to start running your organization. You did all the founding myself. Okay, so another myth is that there's no funding because of COVID. That is absolutely false. Let me tell you this. Our donor base has continued to grow since the beginning of this year. What COVID started March, our funding has increased exponentially, and specifically just by one donor, that is a couple that just decided to sow every month a large amount of money. So don't think because coronavirus is here that you can't get funding. You need to get funding, and people are more likely to give because of COVID and it's happening, because they say, oh, there's a need here. They need to serve these youth in Haiti, so let me continue to pour. People still have the funding and they're still willing to give. So don't use COVID as an opportunity to sit back and say, oh, well, there's no funding, because there is. monthly donors, what was your return rate? How did you keep them coming back? So monthly donors are people that give on a monthly basis. So once they're locked in, they give until they want to take themselves off of the account, or they want to stop their donation for a month. So we had our first monthly donor was on our list for a year, and then he decided to get off our list and decided to not be a monthly donor anymore. But for the others, they have been on our list for some time now, and they are not going to leave. And I'm speaking that to existence. Why? Because this is another thing to consider. When you have a donor base, you need to communicate with them. You need to make sure that the information is right in their face, not in a pushy way, but to be able to inform them about what you're doing. So, for example, you have a fundraiser September 1st, and that fundraiser went to September 5th. You raised $500. Fast forward, it's September 30th, and you were able to use the money as you intended. So the money you intended was for a summer program. So at the end of the month, or maybe shortly after the program is over, you said, okay, donors, thank you so much for providing $500 for our past fundraiser to support our summer program. Because of you, we have been able to sponsor 10 students to go to our summer program, and next year we are hoping to do so much more. Thank you so much. And that's the end of it. Then fast forward, the end of the year, which I said, December is one of the highest giving months. Fast forward to the end of the year, you're saying to yourself, okay, so we need more funding for next year. Like, we want to do it again. So you do another fundraising campaign. In between, you're having information that you're giving to them about updates, how their students doing, this and that. End of the year, you're having another fundraiser. You're saying, all right, so we're wanting to sponsor 20 times of the students that we sponsored initially. That's 200 students. So how about you support us and be able to do this for years to come? We're raising $5,000 to be able to provide summer camps for 200 students this year. We want to be able to hire their staff. We need to do this. So what I'm saying is, you need to stay in communications with your donors, and you need to plan out your fundraising efforts. The one seminar you have tomorrow will be recorded. Yes, it will be recorded. So if you want to go ahead and sign up, make sure you do that. It will be recorded and provided only if you register. If you come back and say, hey, Kia, I wasn't able to join the seminar, but can you provide the recording? I'm going to say you needed to register. So just go ahead and register. And it's at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. Yes, I did start at Instagram last Sunday. I got some info on our account. Awesome. Yes, I did see that you followed me. Be consistent on your social media platforms. If you're not consistent, people aren't going to know about you. That's my tidbit. How can I attract them to get to see it? So you need to be consistent. As I said, you need to be having content just coming out, whether it's update, whether it's pictures, whether it's students that you're featuring. This is Cindy. She's 5 years old. She's going to be starting kindergarten next year. How about you help us with supporting her? One thing is that I know the school year, the new academic year in Haiti is supposed to be starting November. It just depends on the area. So you want to get on that. You want to be consistent about that. Did you find it easier going overseas opposed to in the States? No, it's not easier going overseas. Yes, there's less governmental regulations when it comes to working abroad to a certain standpoint. I'm specifically speaking of Haiti. And I know other countries that are not having strict regulations. As far as having programs and services here, yes, it's easy to start. You can start something simple. Like I said before, pilot programs are how you decide on what's working, what your capacity is, what you want to do. So if you want to start in California, for example, or Texas, you can definitely start just making connections. Make connections with your board, make connections with people in your area and community, and say, this is what we're planning to do. How can you assist us? We like to partner with you. So yes, hashtags, please. Are you all referring to hashtags that are recommended to add to your social media post? So nonprofit, yes, you can add hashtag nonprofit. You can add things that are connected. So if you have a youth program, you can add hashtag youth. You can add the country you're working in. You can add the location, Los Angeles County, LA, California. So I'm hoping that answered your question. If not, you can, okay. So we found the kids in Togo where the most families do not money to send them to school. Yes. So it sounds like we're doing similar work. Dare Humanity, my organization, we are individuals of givers, and we support students in Haiti by sponsoring them to go to school. You know, one of the top things when it comes to giving for nonprofits is the fact that people love to give into youth-based organizations. So use that as an opportunity, use that as an advantage. Share pictures of them, share pictures of their families, share why it's important for them to go to school, why your organization had decided to sponsor them. So like I said, our mission is similar, and we sponsor students as well. So just make sure people know about it, because if they don't know about it, why are they going to give? Are there any more questions? Happy to answer them before we jump off. And make sure to register for that free seminar tomorrow. Even if you can't attend live, there will be a replay, but you have to register to get that replay. And then once again, that nonprofit coaching, you can sign up for that starting October 1st. If you want to get on the wait list, you can send me a DM or send an email to contact@kiaharris.com and you can sign up for that. It is very affordable. I want to just be able to pour into others, and one way is for me to get on a call. You can learn so much from talking to someone directly about running a nonprofit versus doing the research on your own. So that is what I want to do for you all. So a couple more seconds for any final questions, and then we will be signing off. So I know some of you have a nonprofit, or are the other of you thinking about starting a nonprofit? Have you started? Have you registered already? Okay, no problem. No problem, Swiss Education. Okay, so one thing I'm going to recommend to you, Swiss Education, I had a chance to look at your website. I would recommend you update your website, make it more accessible so people can see the information there clearly. And I would also recommend that you not have everything on one page. Make sure you have multiple pages. If you want a website review, click the link in my bio, sign up for a free consult, and I can do that for you. I registered and I want to start one. Okay, so I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and I look forward to chatting with you. So yeah, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for your interaction, your questions. And so another thing I want to add, you said it's up to date, but you need to make it something that is professional. So what I saw, it's great information, but you also want to make sure that it's in English as well. If your donors are going to be in English, then you need to make sure they can understand that. If they go to your website and it's only in Haitian and Creole, how are they going to give to you? Because they're not going to understand what the information is. So what you can do, how you can do that is you put the information in Haitian Creole, below it you write it in English, so you'll have the ability to get donors from both languages. Awesome, Kim. So yes, because I remember when we were connected, that you were telling me about your nonprofit. So yeah, if you're available tomorrow night, we can talk about the details and solidify a few things. If not, you can register, and then I can send you the replay. Just make sure you register, because once I said that you can't get access to the replay if you do not register. So thank you for joining me. I'm looking forward to the October series. So I usually do this around 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, every Tuesday. So the next Tuesday I will be traveling for a bit, so it's going to be in the evening sometime. I'll send out a notification about that within the next few days. But thank you for joining. I know this blessed you. I trust that you got some information from it that you hadn't learned about before. Watch the replay. Also watch the other parts of the series as well. Connect with me, kiaharris.com. Click the link in my bio. I have a lot of information there. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the free seminar and connecting with you for coaching. So take care and be blessed.